book's so boring. I don't know what to read.
You know what's a great book? Brain on Fire by Susanna Cahalan.
That sounds good. Tell me more.
Okay. Brain on Fire by Susanna Callahan is a great book and it has an interesting backstory. The author, Susanna Callahan, she had a mystery illness that went undiagnosed for a full month, and she actually, while writing the book, she actually didn't remember anything that happened to her in the hospital or while she had her illness. So when writing the book, she had to rely on what other people told her. She did interviews with friends and families, and she had to look at medical records and like hospital records and doctor's notes just to put the pieces together of what was happening during her month of madness. The reason she started writing the book was to actually get her message out to other people who are suffering from undiagnosed illnesses and encourage them to, have hope and, keep going, because she understands what a tough time it was, as she explains in this book.
That sounds really boring. So is it just like medicine?
No. I can see why you might think that. I know it sounds kind of boring, but I've read a book like that where it's all about medicine called Lights and Sirens by Peter Grange. He actually uses so many complicated medical terms and like textbook definitions that it becomes really hard to understand what they're talking about in the book. But in Brain on Fire, the author, because of her background as like a descriptive journalist, she finds a way to write about her illness and the medical terms in a way that we can all understand. For example, when she talks about how a pathogen attacks an immune system, she uses an analogy that's easy for all of us to understand. She describes it as like a robber breaking into a home and setting off an alarm system. So she really makes it easy for the reader to understand.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad, but what am I supposed to get from it?
It's actually a really interesting book. It really made me think about how we shouldn't take our health for granted, because she went for a full month just with this crazy undiagnosed illness, and we shouldn't take our wealth for granted either, because people in other countries that are living with undiagnosed illnesses didn't have the resources that she had in this book. She came from a wealthy family that could afford all these treatments in New York with the best doctors and the best medical technology there was, and it still took her a full month to even get a diagnosis or start treatment that would work for her illness.
Sounds pretty interesting, but I'm still not convinced. What do you think?
This book has a really great story. It has a crazy, interesting background, and you'll actually learn a lot from this book, from like the medical side and how other people in countries like are less fortunate than us. So it really makes you think, and it's overall just really well written. I would recommend it to you.
That sounds great. Thanks for helping me pick out a book.
No problem. You might think that. Alright, wait, no, cut that. Medical term. Can we do it again?
Oh. Wait, I hate reading, right?